At this time, I'll call to order the Spatial Public Building Commission for the purpose of agenda review for next week's meeting. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Schaefer.
Here.
Commissioner Allen.
Here.
Commissioner Klicka.
Here.
Commissioner Osterhaus.
Here.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Here.
Commissioner Brown is absent. Chairman Eilert.
Here. We do have a quorum present. First item is the October 5th spatial meeting minutes. Moving to item number 1 under new business.
Request for proposal RFP 2017-004. Consider authorizing a design-build contract with J.E. Dunn Construction to initiate schematic design, design development, and pre-construction services for the new Johnson County Courthouse in the amount of $4,232,000.
Mr. Reiner.
Good morning. I think there's still a few minutes of morning left. So good morning, Chairman Eilert and Commissioners. I'm Brad Reinhardt, the Director of Facilities. We've reached a significant milestone for the courthouse project, a recommendation for the design builder of the new Johnson County Courthouse. Next week, we'll be recommending approval of a contract with J. Dunn Construction. As indicated in the briefing sheet, this initial contract amount represents a small portion of the overall design and construction associated with the project. The $4,232,000 contract amount will take us through design development, at which point we'll have an early construction GMP for site work, the tunnel, footings, and foundations. At that point, in late second quarter of next year, we'll return back to the PBC for approval of an amendment to J. Dunn's contract.
When was that again, Brad?
Late second quarter of 2018 is the plan. A tremendous amount of planning and effort has gone into getting us to this point thus far in recommending a design builder. We have, many have contributed significantly to this effort, including our own project manager, Dan Waymueller, who's behind me here, our owner's representative, Newmark Grubb Zimmer, and our design criteria consultant, CGL Companies. In addition, we've received much support and input from other county departments, including legal, TFM, and budget, and others I'm sure I'm missing. Because this is a significant decision, I believe it's important to review with you the rigorous selection process that we employed to arrive at our recommendation. Dan Waymueller and I will take you through the process reaching this significant milestone. We'll begin by reviewing the overall procurement timeline, followed by the makeup of the evaluation committee and other participants. Then we'll describe the procurement process we followed and the results from the evaluation committee. We'll conclude with a review of the proposed schedule and the unanimous recommendation of the design builder. In June of this year, at a committee of the whole session, we shared with you our planned selection process for a design builder. In summary, we developed and implemented a two-step qualifications-based competitive selection process, which began with the issuance of an RFQ on August 1st. We shortlisted down to 3 finalists, each receiving a request for proposal and an invitation to participate in an in-person interview. Interviews were conducted October 2nd through the 4th, and the evaluation committee individually scored the RFP submissions and the interview. And that resulted in a recommendation of the design build team. The DB contract has been negotiated and signed by the design builder and will be ready for approval next week at the Public Building Commission. We enlisted a 9-person selection committee or evaluation committee who participated throughout the entire process. The committee consisted of the district attorney, a district court judge, an assistant county manager, the district court administrator, the director of gyms, a representative from the budget office, and representatives from facilities management. In addition, many others participated at some level in the selection process, whether it be in developing the selection plan and criteria or simply observing the in-person interviews. I want to make note that we did include and invite the City of Olathe, and they had a representative who sat in on our process. So with that, I'll turn it over to Dan Waymueller, who will take us through the more details around the selection process.
Dan Waymueller, Facilities Management. The first step of our solicitation process was the RFQ. Each of the responding teams provided a written submission of qualifications. The submissions themselves were evaluated and scored based upon key personnel resumes and roles, quality of similar illustrative work, project team experience working together on past projects, unique qualifications such as proposed innovation and creativity, and overall responsiveness to the RFQ. Listed here are the 5 teams who did propose during the and submitted their qualifications. They are Burns and McDonald with NBBJ, J. Dunn with Trainer and Fentress, McCown Gordon with DLR, Turner with HOK, Whites with AECOM. After the evaluation committee scored the RFQ submissions, 3 of the design build teams were shortlisted and moved forward to the next step, which was the request for proposal. Part of this was the scheduling of an in-person interview with the evaluation committee and other participants that Brad listed earlier. The written submission requirements of the RFP included each team's proposed project design plan, their proposed project management plan, and a time commitment matrix of all key personnel on the project. In addition, each shortlisted team was received a copy of the design build contract in advance, and they were requested to submit their exceptions to that contract. Finally, the shortlisted teams provided and prepared a fee proposal which included a fixed percentage rate for contractor's fee, general conditions fee, and design fees. Performance bond cost per $100,000 of construction was also provided. The fee proposals were received at the time of the interview in a sealed envelope to purchasing, and they were not opened until after the RFP was fully evaluated by the selection team. Here you can see the 3 teams who, after their submission to the RFQ and rankings were shortlisted, received the RFP and moved forward to the interview process. The in-person interviews themselves were scheduled and conducted over a 3-day period, each individually per day. The interviews themselves were 3.5 hours long in duration and structured as indicated on this slide. I want to make particular note of the team exercise portion of the interview. This was a 90-minute exercise where the team was provided a written set of questions or scenarios based on 5 areas: pre-construction, design, construction, post-construction, and community engagement. So during this exercise, the teams remained in the room with the evaluation committee and other participants so that we could observe their interaction and teamwork. They were expected to draw upon their prior experiences and problem-solving capabilities to come up with a response. The exercise concluded then with a short readout to the committee of what they came up with during this exercise. After a short break, then we concluded with final comment from the design build team, and then we asked them one follow-up question, which was simply, what's going to drive your commitment over the next 3.5 years on this project?
Since the courthouse is such a significant and unique project for the county because of its size and scope, and due to the fact that we're using the design-build project delivery method for this project, we share with you the results of the scoring and the evaluation from the evaluation committee. The design-build team led by J. Dunn Construction was the top-ranked team. They scored 830 points out of a possible 900. They were ranked number 1 by 8 of 9 committee members before factoring in fees, and once the proposal fees were factored in, they were the unanimously top-ranked team. The fee proposal was based on our best estimate of construction costs at this point in time, which each team received. And again, as Dan mentioned, it included the contractor's fee, general conditions, performance bond costs, and total design fees. This is our projection of the overall project schedule. We've been indicating substantial completion at the end of 2020. Each of the shortlisted teams proposed improvements to that schedule. The light blue bar on the slide here reflects the opportunity to improve upon the schedule with a possible substantial completion date in August of 2020. Upon approval of the contract with J. Dunn, we will immediately begin working the schedule to identify opportunities to achieve earlier construction completion. In conclusion, the team of J. Dunn, Trainer HL, and Fentress is the recommended design builder for the new Johnson County Courthouse. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Chairman. Okay, couple of comments. I I'm impressed with the process that the staff and the owner's rep and CGL went through. I know there was a lot of preparatory work prior to reviewing these specific proposals. One question that I have, there's one, as I recall, one additional contract that will need to be let. That's I believe it's called the commissioning contract.
Commissioning, yes.
Could you let us know when that would be and what that involves?
We're going to begin working on that RFP immediately, so we hope to have that out in November. And Dan, I don't know if you have more to add, but that process early January or late December?
Yeah, we're looking to issue that RFP is November 10th, and the selection process and evaluation process will take us into the new year, yes.
And that will be, do we anticipate that will be separate from the current award?
Yes, that's a separate contract with the county. The county will hold that contract.
And again, if you'd identify the reason for that contract or the elements of that contract, the work that will need to be done.
Yes, the commissioning agent will essentially put the building through its paces once it's constructed. They'll test all the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. We're also going to have them make sure that the performance of the building envelope is as specified in our criteria document with leakage and insulating factor and so on. So they really, and they start their planning process as the design progresses and the construction begins, but they're the tester of the building to make sure it performs as designed.
All functions do provide the level that's anticipated.
Temperatures are maintained, lights work, toilets flush, et cetera.
Mr. Klicka?
Mr. Chairman, I can't tell you how impressed I am with the staff, both ladies and gentlemen that have been working on this over the process. When you hear in the news media, all the challenges that are taking place in other parts of the metropolitan area, and all of a sudden you're sitting here and we're spending 10 or 15 minutes on a $200 million courthouse, we're basically, this process has been going on. It's been very transparent. It's been out in the open. I'm going to tell you, any of the three candidates that came that you recommended, I would have not had a problem with any one of them, but the process vetted out the best candidate for this job. And the time and effort you ladies and gentlemen have put into this, well commended for it. Thank you.
Other questions? Mr. Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will second what Commissioner Klicka offered.
Wow.
Except, I do commend the fact that you were able to get 5 teams to respond. I really didn't expect you to get that many. That's a good showing. So obviously this is a project that was generating a lot of interest, and you had a lot to manage on that. I did have some questions related to the process, and maybe we can visit before next week on that. And I'm interested in the process, but also your proposal selection matrix. I'm not sure I understand it fully. The fee proposal, percent of construction, what those percentages mean, and maybe we can discuss that offline.
Okay. Be glad to.
I just wasn't quite tracking with that, so if we could.
Well, I happened to have a conversation several days ago, happenstance, with a representative of one of the firms who were not chosen, and congratulated the county on the process that they had established, even though they were not named as the winner, but said that it was a very well received process, an important process, and this individual said we'll recommend this process to anybody. So that says a lot. Any other questions? All right, that concludes our agenda review. So we are adjourned. Excuse me. One last question. This is not directly on the courthouse, but the coroner's facility. was part of the quarter-cent sales tax. Where does that process stand?
We are out for RFP, so we have an architect selected, and earlier this week we had a kickoff meeting with the design team and the stakeholders and facilities to kick off the design process. We are in process with a construction manager, a contractor, for the construction of the facility, and I believe we have shortlisted down to those firms, and interviews are scheduled, and I believe will be coming next week. So next week we'll start the interview process for the shortlisted construction management firms.
Okay, so that will be coming back to us later after
Yes.
that. Okay, thank you. All right, we are adjourned. Everybody have a nice weekend. Enjoy the cooler weather.
Happy birthday.